Neville Goddard, 1964 lectures, Imagining and the Transformation of Man, on Trafford Publishing. I highly recommend it. We are going to dig in right off the bat. Foreword to the book, to the 1964 book. Welcome to the world of practical imagining, of visionary and mystical experiences, of a deeper appreciation of the meaning of life, the inward journey, and the eternal ancient wisdom revisited. This is written by Natalie. We are led to the truth when we are ready for it. I was led to Neville when answers had to be found, where changes in thinking had to take place in order to expand spiritual awareness. The first most compelling concept encountered was that a change in attitude begets a change in the outer world, stated by Neville as imagining creates reality. It followed that one's world is a reflection of one's inner thinking plus the attendant emotions, and that to dwell on anything you desire, feeling the possession of it in the present moment, remaining faithful to that feeling of having it now, believing it wholeheartedly, produces that result. I got to tell you, I was just thinking while reading that one paragraph, my journey, and I understand what she means when she was led to the truth, when you're ready for it, that we are led to the truth when we are ready for it. I was led to Sylvia, my teacher, in 1991, and then led through all of her metaphysical teachings in her bookstore, and then also led to the Seth material, which was a huge body of work that I waded through up to here, maybe up to here, and then, of course, getting into Ho'oponopono later, after Sylvia left the party, 3 years later, and we taught a lot, like I said, at Learning Light Foundation, and did a lot of fairs and a lot of time together learning. But you're led to these, like Natalie's saying here. I'm not trying to steal her thunder, but it is true that when the student's ready, the teacher appears. You've heard this statement before. The saying goes. So it's the other way too. When the teacher's ready, the student appears as well. It works both ways. But you are, I ask myself sometimes, why didn't I get Neville early on? And I know my teacher had to have had Neville books in her store because she had everything. And I mean, it was a metaphysical bookstore, and she had everything for every subject. And I was delving into the astrology, palmistry, tarot, numerology, and she had all of those books. And then we had a Seth section. I would actually go to used bookstores all over from Santa Barbara to San Diego during a certain spell, and I would buy used Seth books, and I'd bring them back to her, and she'd sell them on the shelves of her store. That's how we would keep her Seth section alive, because it was only used. Everything was out of print at that point. And I would say this is in the 90s, probably, 94, 95, 96, in that era. But why didn't I discover Neville? I'm just asking myself this while you might be new here or you might be old here. Human Imagination, shout out to you. You said you've been reading Neville and studying Neville for 10 years, and now this feels like a refresher. Congratulations, because for some reason we get into it neck deep when we need to. I was neck deep in the Seth material and the other metaphysical subjects, and then I was neck deep, head deep, over my head in the Ho'oponopono, which I believe is a very valuable thing to learn and know, because it's about love, and that love is the main point of all of this. And then to finally make it to Neville, after being saturated with these other studies, it makes Neville crystal clear on a subject. My wife just gave me some piece of news as I'm walking here to start recording about some kind of riots going on in Cabo, Mexico, and that there's some deaths. And I'm sitting here setting up my gear, and I'm just thinking to myself, one thing we don't talk about much in the Neville, in this material and in these lectures is, people dying. And I know Neville says, you come in on cue and you leave on cue. This is true. But in the Seth material, just want to give a fast, tiny commercial for the idea of dying and death, and when people choose certain ways to go, as an example, these riots. A lot of times people aren't making a statement. In the Neville terms, you're on the wheel of recurrence, and you're going over and over, and you've got these tracks laid down for your repeat performance. And sometimes you want to get into the next performance because you're tired of the current performance. And on the way out the door, sometimes you want to make a statement. Seth describes the concept perfectly and beautifully. How we do if we don't feel like we're making a statement in our life, we make a statement on the exit of our life. And there's plenty to study in the news and in the crime of passion world and husbands and wives and these crazy things that people do to each other. Sometimes people want back to a newer part of the wheel, and they know they're going to get there. On an inner level, as Seth would describe, you know what you're doing the whole time. You know the statement you're making even on the way out the door. We all are responsible for creating our own reality. That's the biggest red pill in all of this work that has to be swallowed, is that you create your own reality. As Neville would say, your imagination creates your reality. It's you doing it the entire time. So if you want to get back into the wheel of recurrence and get back into a different rung, that's fine. You're going to do it. It's just, it's a fascinating piece that fits into this big puzzle. Why do people leave the party in these certain dramatic events like this rioting going on? I know nothing of that news, by the way. I just heard the quip on my way out to go start recording this, and it just, like I said, it's dawned on me that we don't really cover that, but it is a very important piece to understand that you are responsible for your creation. You're creating and making your life statement in this life, or you're making it on the way out of this life, or you're making it on the way into this life. You're still going to make whatever you want to make, and if you're not making it, jump back into the wheel of recurrence and give yourself another shot at it. Go back onto the tracks and go again. That's exactly how we do it. That's called restoration. Resurrection's different. Resurrection is a different process, but I'm talking right now about restoration. It's a heck of a subject, and it's covered very abundantly in the Seth material. So here we go back into Natalie's, in her foreword. Excuse me, Natalie. Okay. It followed that, I'm going to repeat a sentence. It followed that one's world is a reflection of one's inner thinking plus the attendant emotions, and that to dwell on anything you desire, feeling the possession of it in the present moment, remaining faithful to that feeling of having it now, believing it wholeheartedly produces that result. I tried it and it worked. To my joy, a 3.5 month trip to Europe, all expenses paid, came in within about a month after doing an imaginal act of feeling myself flying in a jet over the ocean and then seeing through the window well-known landmarks of Europe below. That's wonderful. I did not lift a finger to make it so. Told no one about it, and it came out of the blue. Again, I did the cruise to the Mediterranean last August. I did not tell anybody until we were on top of that building, the Fairmont hairpin of the Monaco Grand Prix. I didn't say anything to anybody until we were sitting there in that exact glass, this glass, literally not this one, but this pattern was handed to me because it was the one I was using in my imaginings. When it was handed to me, I mean it in the 3D. But again, like Natalie, I didn't tell anybody anything at all, period. I just did the imagining for probably a month and a half, maybe 2. And then that's when the whole plan formed, and the purchase of the cruise and the tickets and the hotels or the ship and the hotels. We stayed 2 extra days on each end of that cruise. So yeah, all these little things, all these logistical pieces, my wife felt compelled, driven to do. It was our 25th anniversary. She saw the European landmarks below the jet. Didn't tell anybody. I did not lift a finger to make it so, told no one about it. And it came out of the blue. This is the pragmatic and provable law that everyone can test endlessly to their satisfaction. It's truly the way to everything in the world. And it's being done by every person, every moment of time. You're already doing it, either wittingly or unwittingly. It's a magical overcoming of limitation when done deliberately, which is the whole purpose of this channel and our chats. And it is, you learn God, the I am, your I am, in action. Neville taught from his own visions, mystical experiences, discernment, not speculation, and Bible study, not only that imagining creates reality, but that every soul is destined to spiritually awaken eventually as God, yet retaining one's individual identity. He never claimed to be more than the messenger of this eternal story that all will one day experience, a gift which can't be conjured or earned. This book of 1964 talks, the second in a series, chronicles a continuing growth in understanding of his 6 major visions that began in 1959, with the last one occurring after 3.5 years. Through extensive study and insight, he found these visions paralleled those in the Bible, the story of Christ, and they proved to be the keys to explaining the hidden mysteries of the prophetic Old Testament and their fulfillment in the New Testament. Perhaps an appropriate analogy would be the Rosetta Stone and what it did for the Egyptian hieroglyphics. Once understood and accepted, the larger picture emerges. The questions, who am I? What am I doing here? Where did I come from? What is the purpose of life? Are all answered in this new, at the same time ancient, revelation. A sense of power is returned to the individual, plus a great sense of peace comes knowing life really does have a glorious meaning, in spite of the seeming chaos and horrors of the world. I tell you, be patient. As Browning said in his Paracelsus, it's funny, I was so attracted to Paracelsus. I bought that, it was one of the first books I bought off my teacher. It was a comb-bound, I think I might have sold it. I don't recognize having it on my shelf right now. A comb-bound, 6x9 probably, about that thick. And reading that book, man, healers always turn me on. Whenever I would find another healer, I was just like, wow, let's see how this is done. And he was, Edgar Cayce was definitely hard to try and understand, because he just laid down, go into a trance and speak it out, Then Jane would do her own thing, which was, sit there and talk with eyes open. And then you have the Magus of Stravolos I've described before, a healer in Greece. And then you have Paracelsus, which was just most profound. As Browning said in his Paracelsus, truth is within ourselves. It takes no rise in outward things. There is an inmost center in us all where truth abides in fullness. There is and to know rather consists in opening out a way whence the imprisoned splendor may escape, than in effecting entry for a light supposed to be without. Neville's teaching gives us the way to that center and how to help open out the way so that the imprisoned splendor may escape. Oh, beautiful words. So the story needs time to be understood, to be heard repeatedly, and to be internalized by the seeker. That's you, that's me. And we need to understand, first, there is no time, but also at the same time understand that the story needs time to be understood, to be heard repeatedly. There's a comment by, and I forget your name, but you left it today. Today is what? I don't know. Today's 11/25. It is, it's April 26th, 2025. You left a comment on the video. I don't even want to look it up, but you said that you listened to this lecture about 5 times, and that revise. And every time you hear this lecture that you're talking about, you get something completely new, because mix the revising with the hearing the lecture again, it's going to be completely different. Anytime you revise anything, you are a different person. Period. So the story needs time to be understood, to be heard repeatedly, like you're listening to that lecture repeatedly, and to be internalized. And as you internalize it and you revise, you're in all these different worlds. Each one is a different world. Each time you hear the lecture, you are actually different. And as Seth would say, every action changes every other action. And that is why the 11 years of his lectures are so precious and unique, gradually leading one through the process that culminates in an awakened individual. The 11 years, that would be 63 to 72. Her first book is 63. Study of this higher level of being helps stir the sleeping giant in all who have been made by their inner being into the good soil. That is, made ready to awaken. To awaken is to personally experience those same 6 visions. These are the signs that the transformation has been completed and that our divine heritage has been returned. As encouragement to all, this writer can also bear witness to experiencing the last of the 6 visions. Congratulations, Natalie. Then we can go back to an eternity expanded and triumphant, having overcome death and the illusion of this world. Natalie's Foreword to Imagining and the Transformation of Man, 1964 lectures. I think I'm going to let your foreword, Natalie, stand on its own, as well as my commentary added as its own separate video, and then we're going to come back and we're going to get right. Oh, let me go on the acknowledgements, and then we're going to end the video. Acknowledgements, deepest thanks. That was written by Natalie, by the way, in July of 2014. I like this parenthetical statement. As encouragement to all, this writer can also bear witness to experiencing the last of the 6 visions. Wonderful. Congratulations again, Natalie. Acknowledgements, deepest thanks to Neville for being the source of these wonderful insights. The inspiration they will forever engender in readers of his work is undeniable, and it is that which is the incentive to preserve his lectures for posterity. In memory and thanks to William Mockgun, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, for his love of Neville's teachings, which led him to lend support to this project. To all who will find in these volumes, grateful thanks for your interest and for helping spread the good news. N. That N is for Natalie. So we're going to see you in the first lecture shortly.